If you've been struggling to trade iron condors lately and you're trying to figure out how do you improve, what is the process? What is the step-by-step method to actually get better at trading iron condors? Well, I'm going to share that with you in this video. How to actually go from, hey, beginner or just getting started to getting a little bit better and then improving and really trading, let's say, iron condors on the SPX the right way or properly. Now, if you don't know me, I'm Sasha, the options coach. I've been teaching people to trade options over the last decade. And recently what we've done is an iron condors deep dive class. The concept here that I'm sharing with you here is from the member section. I've also trained it in the calendars class. But the process applies with a lot of things that you're doing, whether you're trying to trade like leaps or you're doing like a bridge strategy or a reverse wheel. All of these things do apply in some of these classes that we've done in the member section. Anyways, I'm going to share with you some insight here on getting better with iron condors. How do you actually do it? How do you progress? And how do you move forward in evolving, right? And I look at this in terms of applying it very similarly to, going to the gym or working out or training for a marathon, learning the piano. All of this is very similar in nature. Now, when you go into something like this, okay, there's a step-by-step process to learning things. And if we're trying to go in and trade something on, let's say, iron condors on the SPX, like let's say this is kind of our goal, we're going to work our way backwards. So let's say we're trying to do kind of 10 contracts. But before we get to trading 10 contracts, there's some steps that we need to take to get to that stage and zone. Okay, so the first step that we want to go through is go in and start placing a simple iron condor on things like the SPY. Okay, so if we're trying to trade the SPY, it's smaller, it's 1/10 the size of SPX. Okay, so you're going to trade smaller size first. This way you don't get in trouble. What you want to do here is kind of build up the repetitions. So this way you can do 10 or 20 trades and or have some issues where you experience some bad moves. Okay, so what you're trying to really do is get the foundation of iron condors right here. And that's kind of the goal and objective. Let's get the foundation down so you really understand how to place an iron condor, the beginning steps to an iron condor. So if you've never traded an iron condor, what is it that I do? So you're doing just one contract on the SPY. You're not really looking to make money. You're looking to just get the habits. It's like if you're trying to play piano, you're just trying to get a chord. Okay, learn the chord, learn how the fingers move. You're not really trying to be in a concert or perform, but that's what a lot of people try to do when it comes to trading stocks. They're trying to do a performance right away and get paid for it. Okay, so the first thing is build the skill set. Okay, place the iron condor, get the technique down a bit. Okay, the second thing, before you even get to, trying to make money, the second thing that we want to do is not even still try to make money. The second thing that we're aiming for is now learning to scatter and manage our iron condor. Okay, so we want discipline. So first thing here is we're doing our 10 or 20 reps, lifting weights or progression. And now what we want to do is learn to scatter. See, what happens is when people are trading iron condors, they go in and do kind of like 10 contracts and there's my iron condor, baby. You got the iron condor, it's 10 contracts, boom, it's all in one expiration. It could be a 0 DTE, it could be a 10 DTE. Okay, but the point is it's all in one spot. What we actually want to do is we want to learn to manage scattered positions. This way we don't have risks in one spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to place one iron condor. We're going to give it a couple days. It could be a day, it could be an hour. If you're doing 0 day, it could be like 15 minutes. But the point is learning to scatter positions. I would encourage you to go longer dated, let's say 30, 40 days at the beginning. That way you have time to scatter or learn the scattering process. Now, we cover this more in our classes, and if you're interested in that, check out the website. But the point is that we're going in and we're placing one iron condor, then we're placing another iron condor. Then as price moves again, we're placing a different iron condor. This way, what we do is smooth out the risk curve. We smooth out the risk across different prices and zones. And as price is moving, we're peeling off those different iron condors at different spots, different zones, different areas. Okay, so this is what we want to learn. So we could start scattering and learning, about 3 to 5 different scatter zones. Okay, so we'll scatter it out. And as price is wiggling, we might be pulling off different iron condors at time. So now we're learning to scatter. So if you think of, let's say, playing a piano or an instrument, first you learn kind of maybe the right hand or one part of the song, and then the next part you learn the other part of the song. Or if you're trying to build a business, you might learn one part of the business, and then later on you learn the other part of the business. So very similar concept. You learn one part, now we're on the second part. So here we're learning to kind of scatter these positions and moving them in different spots, different zones, learning to move them around. Okay, this is still, of course, on the SPY because we don't want to get hurt or damaged. Not to mention, what we've done here is we went from kind of one contract on this beginning stage to now maybe dealing with 5 different iron condors. So now we're actually trading about 5 iron condors, right? Maybe 7, maybe 8, depending on how much scattering you do. But you're kind of doing about 3 or 4 at a minimum. Okay, now once we do a few sets, so I think of this as like a set. Once we do a few sets or rounds, okay, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to see a result. So that's going to take a little bit of time. Once you've done a few sets or a few sets where maybe you've gotten in trouble, like let's say that one was like, oh no, crap, it didn't work. It means, and you were able to handle it and you didn't panic. It means you might be ready for the next step, but it may take some time. So this is now maybe, again, 15 or 20 iron condors later, and you've basically done quite a few. So it could be like 3 iron condors here, 3 iron condors here, so 3, 6, not 3 times 5, you got about 15 in there, maybe 25. It may take more for some people. It may take 30, 40 iron condors, but the point is you've done a few iron condors, right? So now we've got 10 iron condors from the beginning part. We've got now maybe another 20 to 40 iron condors here on the stage 2. And the third stage here now, what we're going to do is now we're going to go back to kind of the basics. We're going back to into the S&P, okay? But we're going to do this step, but we're going to take it to SPX, okay? So what we'll be doing here is we're going to step 3, but we're going to SPX, and now we're going to one contract, okay? So we're going back to one contract. Okay, so we're doing one contract at a time, but now this size is a lot larger. Okay, so this size now we're going back to 1 just to feel things out. Maybe we start spreading it into 2 different sets for our array or scattering the positions, but you don't want to do too many. Okay, because you still need to now build up the discipline, the habits, the routine. Can you handle the routine? A lot of people struggle with routine. They struggle with the discipline, just consistency. Look at all the gym memberships out there, right? People go in January, February, they're in the gym. March, things start to trickle down and then they're gone. And just showing you here on kind of here's kind of a genius model that I've built where we can take a look at this and you can see you can have the strategy. You might have the money management, but the problem is the mindset, the consistency behind it. Not everybody has it. This is what it takes for trading success. A lot of people, they want the method, the strategy. And there's a lot of people that'll give it to you, not always in a great way or fashion, but method and strategy isn't actually that difficult to learn. You put a year or two, a couple of years into it, you'll get the method and strategy. A lot of times the mindset is much harder. Sometimes it takes 3 or 5 years to get the mindset because there's a lot of underlying issues from the past, from the way you thought about money, from dealing with losses. I've done research on PTSD just for trading, right? Because it's not like PTSD from war or things like that, but it's from trading from like past behavior. And this is sometimes some of the studies you might have to do, right? So it takes these components to making it work. Anyways, my point here is that now that we've got these things cooking, we're now in the S&P one contract. Okay, you've got that down, you're working on it, and you're building kind of that habit and the discipline for repeating those trades over and over again. Then once you've got that, now you can start scattering positions. Let's say you want to do 10 contracts. Well, the way you might handle this, 10 contracts on the SPX, well, you might be doing 2 contracts a pop. So you've got like 2 contracts on one iron condor, then the iron condor shifts, you do a couple more, iron condor shifts, you're doing a couple more contracts. So that could be 2, 4, 6 contracts right there. And you start layering and building things in there. So this way you got a variance to your trades. This is how you progress. This is how you get better. And not a lot of people will show you this or teach you this, but this is the progression. And not everybody's going to actually be able to do it. Not just because it's difficult from a trade basis or a strategy. It's because the habits, the discipline to be able to do the same thing over and over again and for the improvement cycle. That's actually the tougher part. So start here. Place the trade, SPY, it's 1/10 the size, it's smaller, you won't lose as much or as quickly. And then what you'll start doing after that, after about 10, 20 trades, once you've understood the iron condor, how it works, functions, behave, then learn to scatter and manage positions a little bit in an array. And then step 3, maybe go to the SPX one contract. And then step 4 is going in and shifting into a couple of contracts there, a piece into building an array. This is how you progress. This is how you grow. You know, it's just like anything in life, whether you're learning piano, lifting weights, healthy diets, you know, it's a progressive state, and discipline is going to be very important into that. Not everybody can do that. If you have the discipline and the willingness and desire, and you also have the material on hand, you'll be able to get there. So anyways, hope you found this video helpful, insightful. If you don't have the material in there, check out some of the classes that we've got. We've got a ton of different classes there that I've been doing over the years. So check out our website on the optionsblackbelt.com page. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. Truly appreciate it. Keep pushing, keep working yourself. You know, persistence will get you there. And evolution, a new version of yourself. Keep evolving and you will make it. Anyways, thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the next one.